Alright, so let's get this started. 2023 was a pretty big year in video games, and I'm not gonna lie, there was a lot of big drops last year. We've had a lot of games from AAA companies, we have a lot of games from indie companies, and it was honestly a really blessed year for everybody in general, except for the devs who got laid off. Prayers to them. So yeah, what is 2024 looking like? I'm gonna be talking about the games that I'm personally interested in, and hopefully you guys are in too. But if I don't talk about any of the games that you're interested in, leave it in the comment section below, I'll check it out. So let's get right into it. So heading into February, we have Granblue Fantasy Relink. It has been 8 years since the game has been announced, and it's gonna go golden, finally, releasing in the beginning of February, a couple days apart from Persona 3 Reload. We'll get into that later though. Granblue Fantasy is a mobile game franchise that has been branching out with its fighting games recently, and now a AAA full package is here to introduce newcomers to its world. I'm gonna be honest, I haven't paid much attention to the story. Personally speaking, the gameplay seems to be the main attention grabber here. I saw snippets of cool anime characters performing epic moves in a non-gacha game, and that was enough to get me hooked. But besides that, the demo is already out for those who own a PS5, and I got to try it recently myself. The demo gave a small snippet of what the story and combat would feel like, but mainly it was divided into the tutorial mode, the story mode, and the quest mode. The first two is what it sounds like, but the quest mode was where the real meat of the demo was. So it drops you into this town serving as a main hub for you to walk in, and it really feels like a town straight out of a fantasy anime to me. They nailed the visual aesthetics here, especially the liveliness of it. I didn't expect so many NPCs to have their own set of animations and dialogue to them. It was very nice to see the effort put into making the town immersive. So I really hope to see more of that in the main game. But obviously, this being a demo, the only thing you can do in the hub is to pick from 3 quests to embark on with your party, either with NPCs or with friends. So playing these quests co-op with a friend was really fun. I managed to get one of my friends and we had a blast playing it. And this was one of the biggest reasons of getting into this game. From my experience, a co-op JRPG is unheard of in the first place, so combine the mastery of an action JRPG with its progression systems into a multiplayer setting, conjoining the single player, and you got a winning formula in my books. Now getting into the quest, the first quest provided an area where you fight against waves of mobs, which was alright, but the other two were the big hitters of the demo. These were the large-scale boss battles. So much activity in these quests kept me engaged, from the boss's combat design to my own character's moveset and other moves involving the party. You can perform these link attacks and burst moves in conjunction with your team to unleash huge attacks, dealing heavy damage. It's just a lot of continuous dopamine injecting fun. So speaking of these characters, actually, they give you a large cast of party members for you to try out, and all of them are pretty engaging from my experience. I think we were given around like 11 to 12 characters to try out from, and all of them have some kind of gimmick to them that affects their moveset in one way or another and enables like a certain playstyle. Of course, there's much more to the full game than what it seems to be in the demo, and I bet it'll be much more deeper and fleshed out by the end. Overall though, this game looks absolutely gorgeous, from the environment to character design to the art and enemies. I can see it making waves if it turns out well. It's 8+ years of development time with what almost feels like an unlimited budget, and I'm definitely going to be picking this up at the beginning of February. So next up on the list is Persona 3 Reload. This is one of my most anticipated games of the year so far. I love the Persona franchise. Apparently Persona 3 was the one that set the direction of the franchise to where it is right now with Persona 5. They've done a lot of marketing with it, releasing trailers with a cast of characters and even more outside of that. I myself haven't played the original version, and I haven't touched any of its releases. I've only played and finished Persona 5 and Persona 4 just recently, and I just love the balance between the badass, stylish dungeon crawler-esque gameplay and the daily high school slice of life stuff you get with this series. I want more of that, and I can't get enough of it. Persona 5 was about rebelling against the negative parts of life. Persona 4 tackled the theme of accepting yourself and facing the truth. And with the Game Awards trailer for Persona 3 Reload, it looks like this game leans towards what the meaning of life is. I love this kind of soul-searching type of work, and I can't wait to see how they interpret this theme. So the most interesting aspect to me though is that the main lead developers, the creative heads behind the Persona team, aren't in charge of this one, but that makes sense given the context of a game we'll be talking about later. What you should keep in mind when I'm saying this is that this could be a sneak peek at what Persona 6 would look like fidelity-wise. Persona 5 was built on their own proprietary engine, the one Catherine Full Body was made on. We've seen tons of trailers already showing better lighting, larger environments, denser crowds. Also, the UI and music are looking really good as always. There's already a bunch of sample clips released to the public. Beautiful, great example of clean, stylistic design here. I love when developers go crazy on the UI and HUD. That's what I know about the most. Like, it just feels nice to play the game. Apparently, review copies have been sent out since December of last year, and some impression videos should be up on YouTube right now. It's going to be cool to see this game in a new coat of paint, and I can't wait to play it. Now, okay, this game is going to be stuck in between releases of the games I talked about previously and the next game after this one. It's called Pacific Drive. This is an indie game by Ironwood Studios. The premise of this game is that you get sucked through this portal into this supernatural, eerie, gloomy world, trapped alone with some people on the radio supposedly trying to help you get out of this place. You and your car set out on expeditions in order to unravel the mystery of this world while scavenging for resources to bring back, which will help you travel deeper. It's a genuine, to the T, survival game with a nice concept, and I like the fact that your car, the most important form of transportation in this game, represents the main vehicle of progression. Judging from in-game footage so far, it seems like there's a lot to explore and uncover about in this world, but to be honest, I'm a simple guy. I just want to drive a car while looting shit like I'm in The Walking Dead, but without zombies. Journalists and reviewers alike have already received hands-on impressions of the game. I recommend Scale-Up's video, really concise and to the point. Check him out. Now, the game I was talking about before this, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. The second entry in the Final Fantasy VII Remake project, this one is going to be crazy. It's practically the most anticipated game on everyone's list this year. The scope of this game seems to be a lot larger compared to the last entry, which was much more linear. It's a PS5 exclusive, and since we're at the part in the original game where the entire world opens up to you, it seems like it's going to be a fully realized version of what Final Fantasy XV's open world was supposed to be like. Towns and cities around seamless in the transition, characters team up to perform crazy abilities, boss battles and summons will be crazier than ever before. This game is 2 discs. We don't see that much nowadays. But obviously, with all these large improvements to the game itself, everyone is looking forward to how the story will play out. They have said the story will play out like the same as the original, but with the whole thing about the whispers from the last game, the alternate Zack timeline, and Sephiroth's new scheme, we have no idea what will turn out different and how things will turn out the same. But I'm all for it. And that basically wraps up February. 3 major JRPGs coming out, and my wallet will be extinguished. Now moving on to March, we have Dragon's Dogma 2. If I were to describe this game simply, it's the embodiment of medieval fantasy in the most realistic open world RPG way possible. There's quests to slay huge and small monsters alike, each with their own behaviors and mechanics to play around, like riding a bird by grabbing its legs in order to latch onto this big giant so that you can take its eyes out, or riding a griffin all the way to its nest or to the other side of the map just to beat it up. So many different classes, or what they call vocations in the game, to play around with. You can be a mage, thief, magic archer, mystic spearhand, a trickster, and a couple other classic fantasy jobs, all with their own set of abilities and mechanics to master. The pawn system, which to my knowledge hasn't been used in any other game for some reason, but how it basically works is, in your party you're given one personal pawn, one NPC that grows and levels with you, accumulating knowledge along the way to improve its AI behavior in regards to quests, combat, and the world. The other 2 pawns are personal pawns from other players, but the best part about them though is they can also bring their knowledge and help you with quests the pawn has done before. Basically, if they've done the quest before you, they can help you with the quest you're doing right now. I played the first game a bit and I generally had a great time with it. The story seemed weak, but it looks like they're fancying it up this time around and improving on it. And I think this game just feels like a literal modern day recreation of the original game, but in a wider, deeper scope with a large amount of improvements, and I can't ask for more. You don't need to play the first in order to play the second, but from what I heard, the game takes place in an alternate timeline of the same world. Capcom have been great with their releases lately, and I think this may be another Game of the Year contender, just like RE4 last year. Now the next game that's also releasing on the same day as Dragon's Dogma 2 is Rise of Ronin. So the studio behind this, Team Ninja, were the ones behind the Neo and Ninja Gaiden franchises, and you can definitely see the influence of those franchises into this one. The only issue I have with it so far is that we haven't seen enough gameplay. We only have like 2 trailers of it, the reveal trailer from last year and the Game Awards trailer that showed a bit more of the game. I'm always down for industrial Japan type setting, handling guns as a samurai, flying around with a glider. It just seems so out of this world to me that I have to check out what's happening. I expect to see more of this game in the next State of Play rumored to be happening around February, so I'm excited to see how this turns out. Okay, so for the rest of this year, we don't have exact release dates, but that makes sense because Q3 and Q4 haven't really been decided yet because we're still at the beginning of the year, but we have general release dates. Okay, so in August, we have Black Myth Wukong. This game has been teased for like the longest time since 2020. It was touted as like the first look at an UE5 game, and it got everybody hyped then, especially with it seeming to be like a Souls-like. What got my attention though is that this game is being made by a Chinese studio. I don't think we've ever had a major significant release by Chinese developers before at all. This one is a full-on AAA release, and I can't wait to see a take on Chinese mythology by a Chinese studio. It's gonna be so exciting. This could be a big influence on the amount of high-quality games we could see from China if Black Myth succeeds. Japan has always been really good with its video game market. Korea had their recent banger with Lies of P, so now it feels like for my people to follow through. Aside from that though, the monster designs, combat, and environments are on point. You can tell they put a ton of effort into this, going off of inspirations like God of War, as they stated in interviews. If you want to check out recent footage, there's gameplay from Gamescom 2023 on YouTube. Now, a few games that have been yet to be announced this year, but are still planning to be releasing. Plucky Squire, super charming indie game with a really unique gimmick. You're controlling this little character in this storybook and encountering many fun sequences through journeying its pages. When I first saw the trailer, I thought, oh nice, a storybook type of indie game, until the little guy hopped out of the book and became 3D. So this game is kind of like an adventure mixed between the cartoonish 2D art book style and realistic 3D action game. It's honestly crazy to see, especially considering this was made by one developer and it's their first Unreal project. Definitely gonna keep an eye out on this one as the year goes by. Around fall 2024, we have Metaphor Fantazio. This game has been teased since 2018 and it's finally coming out this year, though many, including myself, didn't know about it just until last year. We're getting 2 games for the Persona teams this year, and this is the second. But what is this game about? So in the kingdom you're traveling in, the king has been killed and an election race ensues with the most popular party leader crowned the king. Somehow we get caught up in this, and now we have to embark on this grand political campaign around the country to gather support from the people. Of course, it's probably not going to go as expected with all these crazy monsters and power-hungry leaders trying to ruin you. The lead developers and creative minds behind this project were the people behind Persona 3, 4, and 5. Huge talent, not to mention the other people they got on board. And from what we've seen from combat, it's like a mix of action and turn-based. Love to see it because not many games adopt this kind of system at all. And if you look at the UI, it's so stylistic, it's so artistic. It's reminiscent of the recent Persona games with its own kind of like unique magazine-like flair. The music combining Buddhist chants with Western-style orchestral music, that's something I've never would have seen before. Like, it feels dramatic, epic, and serious all at once. This game, in my opinion, if executed well, will be a surefire Game of the Year contender. They got the talent, they've got the hook, and all they gotta do is cook. So that's it. That's all the hype games that I'm interested in for 2024. Comment down below on the games that you think are gonna be the best this year, gonna be the most hype, what you're interested in. I'm always down to read them and see what they're up for. Leave a like, comment, subscribe, whatever. Classic YouTube thing. And I'll see you guys next time.